What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James underscore 36. And this is at Big Games BS live on the road, part of Den Media Group, presented by thehumidor.com. Thehumidor.com is the go to website for all things tobacco related. Um, all kinds of issues right now on the road. My main mic, I got to get back in here. Hold on. Enter the studio so it'll be more clear. Good morning, Tanisha. But anyways, inside of the not inside, we're away from the world's greatest. Can you hear me, Miles? Yeah, we're good. Inside of the world's greatest, outside of the world's greatest cigar lounge, um, on the road in Atlanta, family vacation, going to check out some sites, relax, but still work has to be done. A lot of things have been going on in the world, and we're going to talk about some of these things. So let's before we get started, I want everybody to do something different. I want to promote my boy's brand. Um, do you even read, bro? One of the things that I'm learning is that a lot of us are highly intelligent. We lack in certain areas. One of the areas where I know where I'm good at and where I'm not. If you start trying to have me understand algebra, I'm probably going to struggle. That's not my thing. But I scored perfect on reading comprehension on the ACT. One thing I know how to do is read. One thing I know how to do is comprehend. So I asked that everybody in today, and as we're having these conversations and anything that you were listening to, let's put on our adult britches, and then let's have discussions as adults. But while we're having these discussions as adults, I want you to invite more like-minded people into our community. So we're still below the 2,000 threshold. I think we're at 1,740 right now. So that means we're 260. If by the end of next Friday's show, or our show in 2 days, we're at 2,000. I'll give away $260 as opposed to the 200. Still trying to get over that 2,000 range, and if you would consider being a member. They range from $3.99 to $99.99, and those who are, if we get to 30 members, we'll have a nice little kickback, or we'll have some different events. But there's some things that we're going to want to do, trying to get that thing up to 30 members. You don't have to be the highest level, just a den mate, if you would. So those are the things that will help us get better Wi-Fi, as well as a lot of other different things. So um, from there, we'll go from there. I guess, Miles, if you got some of that stuff, we're gonna go into the craziest thing before we get into the main topics at hand, that are gonna probably drive the conversation. But there's a couple of them. NFL free agency, is one of the most interesting times of year. You'll see a lot of guys that you thought were going to stick somewhere go somewhere else. You'll see a lot of people, just a lot of really a lot of people, lot of moving pieces. The Jaguars have seen a lot of moving pieces, definitely as of late. We'll get into those as well. Why can I get into my try to get into my Twitter account? But one of the funniest events right now is tight end, all pro tight end, Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders. He has a wife. Like, they're gonna have a kid that's just gonna be elite, man. One of the like she's the one of the star players for Las Vegas Aces. Fell in love, just got married. And you know what the wedding gift was? We're gonna trade you to the New York Giants. And so now they get to start their relationship apart. I thought that was kind of funny, kind of ironic. Sucks for them, but it's part of the being married game in the NFL. So you got that. I can't believe I can't look at my daggone Twitter. So pull up the next Twitter on one mouse. I'm flying blind, so you got it. I'm just going with you with the clicks. So you're gonna go wherever you go. You're gonna have to produce today. So the next thing, oh, and this is kind of going to key up some of the stuff we'll talk about today. At least somebody's trying to make Russell Wilson's life a little bit less hectic and talked about in a bad way. The Broncos signed Mike Burton to a 1-year deal. He's a fullback. Sean Payton, he played with Sean Payton before in New Orleans. Anybody who knows Sean Payton knows Sean Payton does like athletic fullbacks. Shout out to my coach. I joked around saying when I saw him in Indianapolis, I noticed that he had that look in his eye that looked like I'm going to go get a fullback. And as I was joking with people say the fullback position is dead. And I said, no, it's not. It's only dead on bad teams. All the good teams have a fullback. So there's that. So continuing with that trend, fullback lives matter. So if we can go to the next one, the Titans, and this affects the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mike Garofalo puts out the Titans have agreed to terms with defensive lineman Arden Key on a 3-year, $21 million deal with the max value of $24 million. That includes $13 million fully guaranteed at signing. Sources say he had 4.5 sacks with the Jaguars last season. What makes this signing right here quite unique is that DeMarcus Walker signed Monday. He signed on Monday, I believe. And DeMarcus played for the Tennessee Titans. They were in contract negotiations. He literally signed for almost the exact same deal with the Chicago Bears, with more production, with more things going on. Like, I like Arden Key, don't get me wrong. Arden Key also did very similar to what D-Walk did as well. D-Walk played about, I think, 50% of the snaps, and Arden Key played about 41% of the start of the defensive snaps with the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. So the money's being thrown around. I think D-Walk's got $15 million guaranteed. I think he's getting $21 million over the course of the first 2 years of guaranteed. That last year, they're either going to cut him or they're going to restructure it after that. But congratulations to Arden Key. Miss him on this Jags defense. He was a pretty good piece. To the next one. You gotta zoom in on that, Miles. There we go. Juwan Taylor, another Jaguar again, signs with the Chiefs. Actually, go out of this one, Miles, and go to the next tweet, because sometimes it's about the pictures that are used. No, that's my bad. Go after that one, because that goes into the pictures that are used as well. But Juwan Taylor, they got a picture, and I don't know that. I think this right here. He looked like that rapper Sassy Santana or something like that. Like, if you look at this picture, he got the beard going and just poking out of the lips. Shefty, you could have picked a better picture. That's
Saucy.
all. Saucy Santana. Okay. All I know is I don't know how they identify. I don't listen to their music. How about that? But I do know that that's a character. And I told people when they put filter on my face, that's what they got me looking like. I told them, please don't put no filter on my face. Just let me be ugly. I don't need all of that in my life. But Juwan Taylor signs a big deal. Much more pretty good for a damn right tackle. But it also has some like left tackle. I think they're going to try to move him to left tackle here eventually with the Kansas City Chiefs. Goes to a winning franchise. Kind of stinks. I think that the Jags should have probably tried to figure out how to keep him around. Actually work out Evan Ingram's deal, franchise tag him, then work out his deal later on. But there's still some pieces that, now the Jags, that means they really like what they have in Walker Little, and they believe that they may be able to address this in free agency, or they may be able to address this later on in the draft. So if you can go back to where the details of the contract are, so we can talk about how this young man is getting paid in the words of Young Dolph. Oh, it's in this one too. Okay, they had the full breakdown on the other one, but $80 million, $60 million guarantee, 4 years. That's that's some good bread right there. 80 for with the breakdown thing is close to $20 million a year. All right, here we go. 2023 base. You got gets a signing bonus of 18.9. His base salary ain't gonna look like nothing, but he's getting most of his money by just signing a contract with 19.5 annual with a workout bonus of half a mil. That's I mean, I'm not turning that down. That's good bread. Now we can go to my guy who they got looking like an old Negro spiritual. I'm in the Calais Campbell. Like this picture right here, man. I tweeted out. They got my dog looking like he played in the Jim Crow era with that photo. It's just like if you're for those who are listening, like my man got that. Like he is looking like he's been through civil rights marches right before he had to go out here and do this. And this is Calais Campbell. Calais Campbell is a consummate professional. He has he wrote his farewell letter to the city of Baltimore, and that's where he went after he left Saxonville. And I'm not even gonna hold you. I mean, if kick them tires, man. If nothing else, he's a vet that the Jags need. The Jags don't have any veterans right now. So they need somebody to be able to come on this team, be able to help guide, give good mentorship, give good leadership so that these young men can continue to move forward and grow into what they want. You don't need him to play every snap. You need him to play just some snaps. And if he can give you some significance, some bodies not getting dropped back into coverage as a D lineman, I think he'll fit this system. So kudos. Either way, Calais Campbell is one of those guys who you're going to say, he has, if you look at his stats, you'll say Hall of Fame. But if you just really go out there and say, it's one of the arguments that I have, and they're making an argument for Jimmy Smith right now. And I've seen Reggie Wayne, I've seen a lot of other guys have this same argument for themselves. And I'm like, is there anything on their record or their resume that just screams that they were the best wide receiver in the NFL or an all pro or things like that? But when you go back and you look at the stats, it just shows you that they've hit certain parameters that should make them Hall of Fame worthy. But you never know how that's going to go. So, but Calais Campbell's had a phenomenal career. He's a phenomenal man. He's a large man as well. So I want to make sure I don't say anything to offend him or make him too mad. So on to the next thing. So I don't know. Was that all the clips from free agency? Oh, okay. Well, we're getting into the real thing. So click on the actually, let me go to my notes on this one. We need to go down a few miles. On the Lamar Jackson one. Go to Real Talk Mike's. That is the fourth link on Lamar Jackson. But the real thing is, and I always make jokes about with this tweet, right? And I said, just say you hate black women. And I really firmly believe that when it comes to the dealings of Lamar Jackson's contract situation with his mom. The reality of the situation is they're making it seem like Lamar Jackson isn't getting paid because he doesn't have an agent negotiating on his behalf. And I think that's just asinine. I think that's a stupid remark. Guys like me needed agents to be able to really shop and keep you in front. Lamar Jackson is an NFL MVP. Lamar Jackson is probably the sole weapon that the Baltimore Ravens have. And with a team that's only made moves on the defensive side of the ball and hasn't done anything on the offensive side of the ball, by getting him adequate weapons, it makes it very, very interesting the way that this is being treated. And I go into this. It's not a racism thing. I don't even necessarily think it's a sexism thing, even though I do think the attacks that they're using are rooted in both. Because a lot of people arguing have never seen an NFL contract. I can show you an NFL contract. Actually, one of the kids that I know, I have it. I possess it. It's on my phone. For the most part, it's cut and dry. Like the negotiation comes in is knowing your client, knowing the numbers, and knowing where he stacks up from everybody else. But when you have a guy who's the face of your program or your franchise, you don't really need a lot of those things. You already have them. You can literally everybody makes the case. But what the real thing behind all of this is collusion. And the collusion and what collusion means is basically everybody's coming together to make sure that this guy doesn't sign, but not because he's not good, not because of skin color, it's because of what he's commanding. He is commanding to get the top dollar, which he has earned. He is also commanding to get it fully guaranteed. NFL contracts, actually, there are no sports contracts, no professional sports contracts that are fully guaranteed. They are all not, there's no way, there's nothing that makes the owners have to do it. But the NBA and the MLB, the players will refuse to sign the contract if it's not fully guaranteed. So what happened was there was a report that came out that stated that the Ravens offered Lamar Jackson $200 million fully guaranteed, and he turned it down. And if that was the case, it would have probably been a 4-year, $200 million contract because he's looking around that $50 million a year range. And Lamar Jackson comes out, and this is one of the beautiful things about social media, is that players can control their narrative. He comes out and he puts cap, but then he follows that with, it was $133 million over 3 years fully guaranteed, but I need an agent. So basically, he's saying that I got the fully guaranteed money, but I didn't get the fully guaranteed money for what my value and what my worth is. And the argument for people saying that's a lot of money, and you're not wrong, that is a lot of money. But that's not the max value of what he's doing. And that's why you have free agency. If Deshaun Watson can get, I believe he's getting the equivalent of $46 million a year. But I forgot how much of it was fully guaranteed or how big the contract, but his contract was fully guaranteed. If Deshaun Watson can go in and get this with all kinds of charges and all kinds of other things going on, the biggest quarterback in the next class should not be expecting to make the same amount of money. He should be expecting to make more money. And to request $50 million a year over, the next 3 to 4 years isn't a big stretch in the imagination. In fact, it's actually smart. But the problem with guaranteeing money is that people think, billionaire and millionaires are way more affluent than us normal folks. But that doesn't mean that everything is liquid. Just because you're a billionaire, there's more of us. Some of us have more access to our money immediately, or to a larger percent of our money immediately than these billionaires. What happens when you fully guarantee a contract? You have to literally put a majority of that money into escrow to prove that you have the money to be able to pay for said contract. So that means you have to take a lot of your liquid and put it into escrow. Now, why don't the owners want that to happen outside of just that? Imagine if, like, the NBA and MLB players refuse to sign contracts, the top guys refuse to sign contracts that are not fully guaranteed. There are 53 players that are on NFL contracts. Imagine if the top 2/3 of your roster refused to sign contracts that weren't guaranteed. Any owners had to put up almost a majority of the money on the lifetime of that contract into escrow. I'm just saying that's going to be a lot. That's a lot of money, and that's a lot more control going to the players. So the Lamar Jackson saga, I want y'all to stop saying if he had an agent, this would be better. It's not about the agent. It's not about Lamar Jackson. It's not about race. It's not about sexism, even though there are elements being used in the arguments. What it's about is what American capitalism is. I don't want to pay you more than I have to pay you. And I want control. And to look at what my guy, the most ballamist player, says, because the ego and pride of the powers to be was more important than anything. They're finally feeling the heat of their failures. And what that means is they're so preoccupied with not making sure that Lamar is good that they're fucking up the rest of the roster. And I would even argue that the coaches and the other players are the ones who are going to feel the brunt of this a lot more, because guess what's going to happen? Lamar is already franchise tag, so he's going to get paid. If they don't do it this year, he's going to give them the same argument next year. So you might as well get ahead of it. But what I don't like is I don't like but it's not necessarily the owners. I know what the owners are doing. I don't like what's being written by people that I know are smarter than what they're coming off as, and or people who are just dumb smart. Like there was one guy literally making assumptions about an agent and doesn't even know what NFL agents get paid. Doesn't know that there's a cap on the max that they get paid. But if you think that, because and I'm going to tell you what you guys think when he say agent, you guys are automatically assuming he's going to go in there with Drew Rosenhaus, or he's going to go in there with some old white guy. But even David McGull, I don't even know how you say David's last name, who is arguably the best agent in the game right now. He's not going to go in and get them to bump up $4 extra a year. That's not why Lamar's not being. And people who are saying, "Oh, well, she don't understand the language in a contract." You've never read a contract. And let me tell you what happens. So right now, me and Chris with Sporadics, we've been in negotiation with no agent, which is probably not the smartest on our end, but it's working out. Look like the minute I get that contract, I'm going to give that to my boy Blake. I'm going to give a copy to probably my sister. I want to give a copy. Well, no, I think she just had a baby, so I'm not going to give my other business attorney anything. I'm going to let her enjoy being a mother right now. I'm going to give it to there's about 4 or 5 lawyers that I know that have no contracts, because I know there's going to be some Old Testament language in there. Because I'm not an idiot. I want y'all to know that Lamar Jackson is probably literally doing the exact same thing. Like, you don't go in there and talk, therefore, hitherto, according to the CBA, section line item 15, row 3, paragraph 4, five words to the right. It states that that's not how people go and talk. They go and talk and says, my guy's the MVP, pay him. Well, we don't, and then they say, now the hard part of this is, and I think Lamar Jackson's mom is built for this. I could never be my son's agent because I'm going to fight you when you tell me my son's trash. And that's basically what you got to do as an agent, is you got to sit there and listen to the other team tell you why you're not worth as much money as you're worth. They do it in baseball with arbitration all the time. They got to tell you why you don't deserve to get paid all the money. But they like you. But they want you in the organization. They just got to tell you, like, you don't deserve to get paid X, Y, and Z. But you people that really just don't understand this, is just, you're just talking. But that's the nature of everything. It's why I enjoy Chris Rock's comedy special. It's literally not necessarily a ha funny, make you belly over and laugh. It's not silly, but it's definitely poking at what today's American culture is. People rather be polarizing than right. Enough about that. Speaking of polarizing people, playmaker Michael Irvin got kicked out of the Super Bowl coverage because he was doing Michael Irvin stuff. And the craziest thing is, sometimes, and this is what I always like to ask people, I'm like, I've been called misogynistic sometimes. I've been called certain things, racist. I've been called all kinds of things. And I'm like, what in my character over the history of the time has given you and when I talk this, I only give this argument to people I'm close to. What in my character that you've seen in my relationship with you that makes you believe that I am this? And then when you really break it down, they're just trying to win an argument. Again, trying to be polarizing. But like, they can't tell you that there's a history of consistency in which my thoughts match what it is. And sometimes I'm learning people don't know what misogyny means, or ist means. So, but again, that reading comprehension thing, there's too many of us out here who are making adult decisions that don't know. But Michael Irvin did this, and he has a history of making everybody believe that he could do this. But he was adamant that he had no parts in this and that he barely knew this woman. But what they did was they dropped the video. And one of the things that we say in football, the eye in the sky does not lie. And I don't know why he's not pressing it. He needs to go get paid by Marriott. And I'm sure there's probably some undisclosed settlement. But him and his attorneys got together and played this video.
They have a very lengthy conversation, and no one's trying to tell us what that is. Go ahead. That's where she tells some kind of joke, I believe, to him. You see him kind of bend over. She's shaking her head back and forth like that. He walked in closer to her. She didn't back up at all. Now they're shaking hands. Now, I want you to watch the end interaction here. So she's going to kind of, when the people come up, she'll kick her leg. As she walks off, she's still talking to Michael over the shoulder, all friendly. Here you go. It's her leg. And see right here, she's going to look back over her shoulder and say to Michael, now pause it. Pause it. Okay. They claim he was leering at her. When he looks back at the bar, she's way gone. Because you're about to watch, she's going to go over here, and that guy is going to go he's going to get very visibly upset with her. And basically, there's somebody who's, I don't want to use the word abusive, but there's somebody who's really being forward to her. It's this gentleman here. It wasn't Michael. So watch what happens. Okay, go ahead and roll the tape. You see him grab her, and she falls, now pause it. Now Michael's looking over there for the first time. He's not watching her. He's talking to these guys. You'll see in a second, they turn around and they start talking to him. The guy in the white hat. Okay, go ahead. See? Now Michael walks out to go take a selfie with this, we believe, Renaissance employee, 99% sure. And the security guy stays right there with him, who's been around for the whole conversation, really.
So, I mean, when you really look at this, the misogyny, the think pieces and everything, but based upon his history of behavior, you know, people threw him under the bus. The NFL knew, like, man, you got to get this motherfucker out of here. We know him. But this man was telling the truth, and it just kind of goes to one of the things that we talk about. Believe all women? Like, everyone? Like, nobody's lying? The same misogynistic system that women claim to hate is the same misogynistic system that makes people paint them as the fairer sex, that they're always right, that they always have to be protected. And almost lost his man again. Michael Irvin's been fired from every major network, except for, I think is he with NFL Network now? No, he's with ESPN. So this might be round 2 on ESPN with him. So this man is trying to protect not to protect his image, he's trying to protect his fucking job. And it's just interesting, again, how quick he almost lost it all because he was being too friendly with a pilgrim chick. And that's sad. But, you know, speaking of second chances and reuniting, nothing better than being able to go back to a program in which you were able to let them see their highs. And, you know, I always have to bring it back to spring football. And spring football is here in Florida. The University of Florida play their game on Thursday, April 13th. Miami will play theirs on Friday, April 14th. Florida State will play theirs on Saturday, April 15th, along with FAMU playing theirs on April 15th as well. So go check out both of those if you're in the city of Tallahassee. Now, Florida and Miami, I think, are still finishing up staffs, but the University of Florida finalized who their wide receiver coach is going to be. And they're bringing in Billy Gonzalez, who was a wide receiver coach under Urban Meyer. He was also a wide receiver coach under Dan Mullen at Mississippi State and at the University of Florida before they all got fired again. So he's coming back after a brief stint being away, and he's coming back. The Gator fans are spinning this. He is 8-0 against Florida State. He was fired the last time. He's also been with a coach of one of the best receivers in Florida history, and that's Percy Harvin, who also knocked his ass out. So if you remember, Billy Gonzalez and Percy Harvin allegedly got into a fight at practice where Percy put paws on him. Urban Meyer looked at his coach hurt and decides that the best course of action is to move the drill up 15 yards so they can continue to finish the practice out. So that's who Florida's bringing in. And I want to say congratulations to you guys. If you like it, I love it. I have never heard anybody say, "Holy shit, I got to go in and compete and recruit against Billy Gonzalez." I like our chances. I don't, your room is not going to get any better. I'm sorry, but this was not a great hire. This is a hire because this wasn't at prom. You asked the girl that you knew was going to say yes after you've been turned down by so many. So moving forward, there's a guy who we picked on and we roasted, I believe, in September because of how he drinks coffee and his takes and how dumb he is. But I'm listening to what some of the talking heads are saying behind the closed doors of people who write the checks. And they, like, if you're with On3, with CBS, with a lot of these people, they're so big that anybody they put behind the camera and flip the switch on, they're going to get spins. They're going to get views. So if you can click on the unnecessary roughness tweet link, Miles, this guy normally just says a lot of bullshit, but I kind of like what he's talking about now. So go ahead and push that video on that.
5 years, would you rather be Florida, Florida State, or Miami?
Florida State,
without question.
Yes.
Now I know they're the best team right now, but Norvell, do you see a high ceiling there?
I think he started to figure it out more than the one that I can trust with the other schools, at least.
Well, certainly Cristobal had a disappointing first year, and I think Napier's terrible.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a believer in Napier. Cristobal, I don't hate as much, but I just think I felt like they had talent this year.
Yeah.
And they really stunk, and that to me is a problem.
It's crazy to say, but I think you go Florida State, Miami, Florida.
I think
agree 100%.
Next 5 years, would you rather be Florida State?
Everybody's tune is changing. But you want to know one way to get you some good clicks is list Twitter like this. Just put Florida, because right now, Florida State fan base, we hated this guy. We're going to retweet and share his shit. Florida and Miami fan base is going to be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, man. Fuck this guy. He's just a hater. Look at our recruiting classes, because that's kind of all they have to hold on to right now. But when you really think about it, I'm with this. We do need to start doing lists. I'm going to start doing lists. Top 5, who has the hottest fan base? Who has, give me what you're listing. Anybody who got a list of stuff that they think that they want to do some rankings, let me know. I will make sure we start doing some lists. We'll start adding that in here, start throwing that up on the timelines, because that seems to get the people going, even though I hate it. But this guy, all bias aside, Mario Cristobal came in with a lot of hype, a lot of heat, and the perception of money behind him, even though their staff doesn't show that they're getting paid like that. But they have showed a propensity to be willing to pay whatever it needs to be paid on the NIL front. And it still isn't really helping them in wins and getting in the best transfers. Even, like, I think one of their best transfer guys this season is a linebacker from Duke. And that really doesn't just say anything. Like, I like that. Top 5 coldest wide receiver pilgrims. I could do a top 10 coldest pilgrims of all time. And I'll tell you who's going to be number 1 on my list. The coldest pilgrim of all time, Larry Bird. Larry Bird has the coldest saying that I've ever heard. And I agree with him. Larry Bird was offended when he was guarded by a white boy. Like, that's one of them cold ass pills. That's a Cap saying right there. I don't believe in pilgrim on pilgrim violence. Don't you bring that white man over. I don't want to just be the one to destroy my white brethren. You bring me a good black man over here that I'm going to tear up and I'm going to chew his ass out. But yeah, but when you look at where Florida and Miami are going, having to flip 60 to 70% of your coaching roster after year 1 is not optimal. With a lot of guys leaving, having to replace things, I just don't I don't see it. I don't see how they can be as happy about it. And but at the end of the day, I'm good with it. Coach Norvell is good with it too. And Coach Norvell got the fan base jumping right now. He put up the iconic gray hoodie that he wore all last season. It's hard to get. And he says, I've been a lot of talk about the gray hoodie from this past season. It was good to the nose. I've decided to donate the game day hoodie signed to auction off to support his foundation, his Keep Climbing Family Foundation. Now I haven't looked at this lately, but I will say this: the last time I checked it, it was well over $4,000, like that had been raised or been committed to. It was going up in increments. It's probably higher. And the first thing that I thought about when I saw this, and again, when we all can admit that we have a little hypocrisy, a little twist of hypocrisy in us, when we can all admit that we all have some carnal behaviors, I knew it was the women that made this go. Mike Norvell drives the women crazy, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you, dog. I know some women who have said some crazy shit about Mike Norvell on Twitter. It technically is disrespectful, but when you're talking about it in the sexual nature, I guess it's a compliment. It's more disrespectful to Mrs. Norvell than it is to Mike. But I believe that a woman is going to wear this and sleep in this, kind of like when we showed the SNL skit. Even though Mike's not a big guy, I don't think Mike's not over 200 pounds. But somebody's gonna do this and play the Beyonce T-shirt song. When you're not here, I sleep in your T-shirt. That's what that's what they're gonna do with this Mike Norvell hoodie thing going on right now, which is just interesting, man. Real interesting. I like it. I have my gray hoodie, so I have no need to spend $5,000 on a fucking hoodie. I like you, Mike, but I don't like you that much. And go to the next thing. Oh, we talk about cold ass pilgrims. This pilgrim is so cold that I have to give him. I got to give him a plug. And Florida State's on there. Like, I'm really thinking if we get some of these things, if we blow up bigger, we could come up as a community.
Now, this man is
we
going to
could give
lead
it
Lovejoy
the
High
cold
School.
the cold ass pilgrim scholarship. Just all things that you think are stereotypical of a white person, like white linebacker, thick neck, violent, more explosive than what you think. He's actually fast. Could come in and give us the DJ Lundy role, play a little fullback for us if we need to. He can spin the ball. Just look at that. Violence. I just love that we have the offer. That he has a Florida State offer. So and just watch how you saw he grabbed that ball with one hand. That's some good concentration. So love it. Get me that pilgrim. I might take 3-4 pilgrims in this class. They're just that good, man. Become the United Nations on the football front. Speaking of pilgrims and cold pilgrims, one of my favorite pilgrims with the Florida State, his name is The Machine. Very hilarious. And I've been the proponent of HBCUs for quite some time. I have told people everybody should adopt an HBCU. It's basically the opposite of what HBCU people are talking about because they're coming off as elitists. But I tell people you're going to have more fun. Your children will have more fun at an HBCU game than they will have at your favorite PWI game. They're going to eat better food. Even though I will say David Plack and those guys at Florida State with the Marching Chiefs, our band is really, really good. But most HBCU bands are getting after it, man. And I want y'all to listen to my guy talk about his HBCU experience.
Go ahead and work this out.
HBCU cheerleaders. Can I tell you what I'm into?
What?
Have you ever seen HBCU cheerleaders?
Go ahead.
I like it. I like it.
Go ahead and work this out.
HBCU cheerleaders rock. Dude, I liked one of the videos. Oh, and then all of a sudden they got into my algorithm. And now all I get, brother, my algorithm is college gymnastics. Crazy. But HBCU cheerleaders, this is the one I liked, and now they're everywhere. You say you want no problems, but you talk like you do. And the room, you say you want no problems, but you talk like you do. And then there's just boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom. They did one where the girl,
What is happening right now?
It's in wooden stance with everyone, and the girl goes like this. And then circle around her. Now this is packed. The circle around her is looking at her, and then they go, and they do the same move. And then the whole fucking stands does it. And then they stand up and do it.
Yeah.
And now and I'm going, dude, more of that. That energy, man. That energy, you don't get that at like USF games.
The shot at you, the straight bullet at USF. But play the next one is actually what he was talking about. It might not have been that particular one that he saw, but this was the chant. And I'm not even gonna hold you. It's like, actually, if you've ever been to these things, like, or even the black high schools, like, it makes you kind of like, you gotta show the whole video too, Miles. There we go. So violent, yet so feminine. Amazing. But like, wouldn't it be so good for the culture, right? We were just talking about Chad Johnson, right? And how he's the like a whatever, he's an ambassador for FAMU athletics. But what about Bert Kirshner, the guy, that's the white guy who we just talked about, the machine? What if FAMU reached out to him and let him just do a series about going through band camp, about going through like the cheerleading stuff and like just the culture? Like, this is how you brand yourself. I love it. I love, what we don't want is culture vultures. But what we do want is cultural appreciators, not appropriators, but appreciators. So like, you come in and you're exactly who you are, but you're loving it. Like, again, I told this story about when I went to the Jags versus the Giants game. FAMU came in and did the halftime show. And there was these two white guys that looked at me and my son's godfathers and said, hey, buddy, don't you guys leave. Right now, you're about to witness, by golly jeepers, the best goddamn band in America. And I'm like, man, you talking to somebody who's from the highest of Seven Hills, man. I know all about this shit. But it felt good that they knew and respected the greatness. It wasn't necessarily something that made it better. It was just awesome that, somebody took it, and you could see that, you could see it, and that energy can't be recreated. Like at a you could try it, but it'll look like Bring It On, which I've never seen, but I've only seen the previews of it, and it never really seemed like a good. I'll tell you what, having gone to historically white high school in Florida High, and it's literally like it's the charter states that my high school had to have in its not in attendance, on its as its students, had to directly reflect the census of the state of Florida. So like, it was 60% white, 20% Hispanic, blah 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 blah. It had to have that many people in it. And so we had some cheers that our girls tried to do that just didn't quite go as well as the other ones. Even having black cheerleaders, they just wasn't they ain't have enough attitude. They ain't have enough whipping their neck and stuff that they were doing, man. So, but again, I appreciate those who come on and appreciate the culture, because I think it's amazing. I think it's how you can make these HBCUs bigger than what their actual their traditional fan bases are, as well as their students. So like, when you look at FAMU should be adopting the same mindset as Miami, because FAMU is a small university, but Miami is a small university as well. But Miami has reach that goes out well beyond the city limits. And if like, FAMU should be one of those, Tuskegee should be one of those. I really like these things. It doesn't have to be a white guy. It could be a black guy. It could just be somebody who doesn't really have any true affiliation with the university, but just appreciates the culture and appreciates the vibes and is bringing more awareness. So one of the things that I remember growing up is seeing so many specials, like seeing Hits from the Street with BET, seeing they had like this college, they had the BET Spring Bling, they had Tom Jordan used to go to, every Friday to a historically black university's college, historically black college or university's campus, and do his show live from there. He had the one of the biggest morning shows. He would be there for every homecoming. You would see Ricky Smiley do this, and with all of these opportunities that we have in media, in movies, and things like that, we've gone away from doing the organic to just doing what sells, even though we have enough money to not necessarily do what sells. We could do what's right. But like this right here was just wholesome and pure. It actually came, I saw it this morning when I woke up. And I just felt the need to share it. I thought it was dope. I hope he continues to grow more. My hate o'clock is ironically black people. Not just black women, black men, black kids, old black people, young, well, not even old black people. I'm almost in that middle-aged category. So just about 10 to 15 years older than me and about 10 to 15 years younger than me, include in everything in between. Everything doesn't have to be a think piece. And God damn it, everything from the Chris Rock special, even though I thought it was hilarious, Marlon Wayne special, which was silly, better than his last one. More so like the way he tied the story, it made it about him as opposed to Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, or Chris Rock, with very believable things that happen. But it started with the Oscars. Angela Bassett I win. But if we can be truthful as a family, Angela Bassett didn't deserve to win. She didn't have the best movie. Or like, she was good though. We were proud of her. She did for the culture. But that's not how you win an Oscar. Hell, if you really look at who all has won, like, hell, Denzel never won an Oscar for what he truly deserved to win it for. And neither did Halle Berry. But I digress. I didn't need a think piece about it. She lost. Chris Rock talked about this when he actually hosted the Oscars. In all the years of the Oscars, only 4 black people have won one of the categories. Like, shit. It's always been a white dominated sport right there. But in this moment, 2 young African American men who had been think pieces of their own following Creed, like they have made these 2 very macho masculine men. They try to feminize them, not by what they've dressed or what they've done, but like by people's comments. They were very straight. I love everything about Jonathan Majors and Nick Cannon. Or, my bad, Michael B. Jordan. They just remind me, Michael B. Jordan is nothing more than Nick Cannon with muscles. But these 2 young men got on stage and they weren't trying to, somebody wrote a think piece about them trying to soothe her. They weren't trying to soothe her. In the moment, they decided to recognize greatness, and this is what they did.
Hey, Auntie, we love you. Mm-hmm. Hey, Auntie, we love you.
In that simple moment, just recognize her. Hey, Auntie, we love you. But now we have a think piece for this shit. Don't call me Auntie. Don't call me Unc. Oh, like, oh my God. One thing I learned about being in a college locker room and in a pro locker room and locker rooms in general, you don't get to pick your nicknames. Like, you don't get to come up and say, like, hey, a nickname is of affection, even if it's a derogatory nickname. Now, there are some nicknames that you could call people. I have a family nickname that really legitimately, if you call me that in public, it'll give me pause, and the first thing I'm going to ask you is, who the fuck do you know? That doesn't mean you get to call me that, but that nickname is literally a family nickname. Only my family calls me that. There are nicknames that only the football guys call me. There are nicknames that, your wife calls you, but auntie and unc, just like nephew, just like son, just like a lot of this for just terms of endearment. But in this situation, it wasn't even one of those, and they made it more. If you've watched Black Panther, the first one, it was literally how Michael B. Jordan entered the scene and really came into the Wakanda universe when they found out that he was, in fact, the cousin of T'Chaka's nephew. So he comes in, and when they said that, and they flips the lip down and they check it, and he's like, "Hey, auntie." The man was literally quoting a movie that they shared together in that time. What better way to acknowledge somebody like that? No, it's never been done before like that. And then a simple "we love you." Angela Bassett is a phenomenal actress. I don't think she should have won that, but just like I think Jimmy Smith is a phenomenal wide receiver. I don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Doesn't make me dislike Jimmy Smith. I really like Jimmy Smith. I just don't think he's in the Hall of Fame or should be in the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion. But we have a think piece right here. Don't call me auntie. Black celebs have strong feelings about this term of endearment. You know what I've learned? I'm 38 years old. I'll be 39 in July. No matter how young I feel at times in my mind, no matter how immature some of y'all think my mind is, I'm old. I can't go and I realized this when I said Kalen DeLoach's little bro. I had a daughter Kalen DeLoach's age, or older, Kalen DeLoach's age. So I can't really call him little bro, but I'm not as old as Pop DeLoach. But Pop DeLoach ain't old enough to be my daddy. But I could be a late brother. So I heard somebody call me Unc. I heard somebody call me OG. It's just a way that people describe you, man. And you know what? You should be blessed. You should just be blessed that people are calling you this. But think pieces were written. Threads and threads on Twitter and on Facebook. People saying, yeah, you're right. Don't call me that. Call me by my name. Blah, 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 blah. But then a debate that's as polarizing as any is Sierra and Russell. I think they have a beautiful relationship, awkward at times, but very beautiful. But in the argument, what I'm learning is that it's not selective outrage for women. It's selective memory for women. And I've seen it on all sides. Like I've seen women bashing Sierra's dress. I see men saying where they're coming from. But then the funny thing is I saw a man bashing women about bashing Sierra's dress, and I seen a woman bashing men about bashing Sierra's dress, which means all y'all motherfuckers confused. And no, Charles, I'm not gonna let it go on that because I had somebody text me that before. Like Charles Walker, my guy, put so much crap, so much going on in the world. We let crap like this put us in the blender. Nah, it's still real things. Some of y'all still really got that red JEA letter that came to y'all. And you worried about this. I've never seen people be singularly focused on anything. And that doesn't work because like there's always something more important that we could be worried about. But this has been going on since the beginning of time. But what I want us to do is, can we wrap this shit up by 5 p.m. today, by the close of business? That's all I'm asking. Just wrap this shit up by the close of business. But I want to give some context because I think context without and no constructs leaves wayward arguments. And for some reason, people are having selective memory about this. The reason why I know some people are offended is not because of Sierra. Sierra looks damn good in that dress. Miles, did I send the picture of Future and Sierra? Because there were memes going around about when Sierra was dressed like this going to an award show with Future. And there's many terms. It's like when you find a man that will elevate you, he'll cause you to do better, to dress better. And it was Sierra going to like the White House in a formal gown. And then there was a picture of Future with her going to an award show. I don't really know if people realize this, but like there's a different attire when you're going to the White House than when you go to this. But people, women in general, not I'm not being specific to you as a woman. I'm being specific to women as a general. We're stating that let them, and it goes into the arguments of I can become more feminine when I see you in your masculine, which is one of the dumbest comments I've ever heard in my life. It's like me saying I'll be more masculine when you're more feminine. It's either you are or you ain't. But the reality is that people have painted this, Sierra fine. And I also think it's because Russ is probably one of the few black men that we've seen marry white, divorce, and then marry black. So I think y'all gravel to that. And then you threw this Christianity thing down our throats, which you see there with the Sierra's prayer. If you remember our show a year ago, we joked about the Sierra's prayer. We have a reel that I thought was pretty funny with one of those singers, a sinner's prayer behind it. But like, there are bigger things that we can worry about. There are, like, I don't really have an issue. That's not my wife. I don't really give a fuck what she wears. I know I'm gonna look, and that's what somebody said. You're only happy about it because she's not your wife. You're goddamn right. That's not my problem. I will say this is where sometimes, you do have your individuality, but you also have, they're in a situation where they're extremely safe. Well, you think you're safe. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock last year at the Oscars. But I will say this: if I was going out to a normal event and I don't have security around there, we just going to the club. I don't want somebody. I wouldn't necessarily want my old lady dressed like that because I know it welcomes creeps. And yes, she should not be. I love that. I love it. I should not have to dictate what I wear based upon what other people's issues are. But baby, that's not the real world. You're right. Men should be less rapey or less creepy, but you know what? They're not. Same as women should be like that, but they're not. I just don't want anybody inviting things because this is what happens when a woman gets assaulted or accosted in front of her man. You know who they got to look at? I got to go get into something. Get my hands dirty. Shit, I love the statistics that people say that men who married or in healthy relationships live longer. They also die fast. They also, yes, that's true. They also get into more shit. Because toxic masculinity is bad when it's not agreed upon, but toxic masculinity is needed when it comes to defending a woman. So it's just a lot of different things that I just really wish we didn't care as much about, but we do. And and that's part of why it's mainstream news. That's why you have celebrities. That's why you have these things. And but like, damn, can we just wrap it up? That's all I'm saying. Just wrap it up by the end of the day. And maybe try to not talk in such polarizing terms. Like, you must be a dummy if you this, or y'all so, what does it say? One person said women in their feelings because they don't. One woman put, of course you couldn't be upset because you don't have anybody. I've seen your girlfriend. She doesn't look like Sierra. And what was funny to me was the person who posted, bitch, you don't look like Sierra either. Like, you put that out there like you like people covered in you. And with your 5 kids that you have from 5 different Negroes. All I'm saying is maybe everything doesn't deserve a think piece. Maybe everything doesn't deserve more than 24 hours. But that being said, she wore the hell out of that dress, and I believe because this is how most celebrities feel. That she got everything that she wanted to get out of all this, and she has thick skin. And just like people are saying, she's a grown woman. She can wear whatever she wants. She's a grown ass woman. She can take whatever comes with it. She's been a celebrity for quite some time. But for mine eyes and everybody else's, we surely appreciate her wearing that shit. She wore the fuck out of it. So on that note, man, I appreciate you guys for coming here and hanging out with me, chilling. Check out, we'll have a next show Friday. Check out Sporadics by Sideline Sports Network. We're interviewing Michael Alford. That will be on tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. I'm going to go try to find me some business that I can go mind. And on that note, man, I appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me. See y'all next time. You ready, Mom?